Hey there, everybody. It's Lisa Derby Oden, and I am here today with my supervisor and mentor, Jim Gusha. And I'm very pleased to have you here today, Jim, and to share a little bit more about you with the whole organization, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, I'd love to get started. Can you go ahead and tell us what is your job at Mass MEP? What's your title? And then what's everything that you do in a day, in a week, in a month?
sure. My position is the project development manager. And Lisa and I both work at helping companies in that role by in project managers with their clients to help them access the workforce training fund to be able to cover the cost of their training through a grant that we help them organize, think about, and put together to successfully apply for funds from the state so that we can help them.
So that's the bulk of what you do. I happen to know some of the other things that you do. You help a lot in the survey process, right? You get involved a lot in the survey process, and
Sure. So that's the primary role that both Lisa and I have, but we dabble in a lot of other things. From surveys, we assist project managers with surveys, and because we are involved in a majority of the workforce training fund grants. Uh, we have developed relationships with clients early on in the process, so that they get comfortable with us and the organization, along with the project manager, and so we are familiar with a lot of the clients that are out there. So we can help project managers access or get access to companies and resources in the company to be able to help us with surveys. Uh, Part of the grant process is to develop metrics,
yeah.
and the KPIs that they develop are things that we can refresh them on when we're going through the survey process, because the training was focused on making impacts using those KPIs. So the KPIs are perfect. Kind of slide into some of the responses that they have, along with the funding that we help them access.
And I happen to know that you also assist the companies as much as they need, sort of throughout the process of the grant delivery, with, sort of shepherding them through their reporting process, their quarterly report, the QAR and the FSR and things like that, because we've got some experience with that, and the companies don't necessarily if they've never had a grant before.
Exactly. So we've been involved in a number of grants over the years, and while the reporting has kind of been tweaked over the years, the requirements are pretty much the same
Yeah.
ultimately. And companies, I mean, we've seen it a number of times. Companies see it once because they're
Right.
doing their grant, and sometimes a few times. But when companies, these small companies, don't have the resources to be able to understand or wrap their arms around some of these things, we are the people that can help them with that and take some of that burden off of them. While we don't do it for them, we walk them through the process. And generally, again, it helps with that whole relationship that we have with our clients.
Definitely. Well, I know that you, this is going to be our segue to the next question, that you have a wealth of information on the whole general grant, express grant, all the workforce training fund grants. How long have you been with Mass MEP and doing this grant stuff, if you will?
Well, yeah, I was hired after the company that I was working with announced that they were closing the company. And after that, I contacted Jack Healy, who um, guided me through the thought process of putting a resume for the first time in my career, putting a resume together. Um, I was in human resources for a number of years, about
Yep.
25 years. And, um, and while I read a lot of resumes, I've never written my own. Anyway, so he gathered, helped me gather all my thoughts together. And ultimately, it was about when the Express Grant was just being kicked off. And the Express Grant was being kicked off because Jack and our friends over at the Associated Industries approached the Workforce Training Fund and said that small businesses don't have the resources to be able to commit to doing these large training grants and writing them and supplying people to be able to fill a class. So they needed something to affect smaller companies, and so that's with their kind of lead, the Workforce Training Fund announced the Express program. So long story short, the Express program was just being kicked off, and Jack says, "I want you to come to work for me, and I want you to work on making companies aware of this Express Grant program and understanding." And of course, I said, "I've never done grants before." Um, anyway, so that was kind of my entree into the workforce. I began connecting up with a number of people from the state. At the time, it wasn't the Commonwealth Corporation who was running the program. It was the Workforce Training Fund,
Yeah.
and the Workforce Training Fund was being funded uh, through the unemployment office, Division of Employment Security. Trying to remember the name of the term, but anyway, unemployment assistance, I guess. But they started collecting funds and put them into a pool of money to be able to go after or to be able to provide to companies who pay into the fund. So I got to know all the people, all the players down at the Workforce Training Fund, and uh, and then it just started building from there. And then we got into general grants because we weren't doing anything with grants at the time. And I was trying to understand the Express program, get some of our courses listed, and make a name for ourselves. Anyway, so over time, I became, someone that understood probably more than anyone else in the organization. Though grants weren't my primary role, I was a project manager, like most of us, and worked with companies when we found opportunity to work with them. And I had the role of project manager and, assisting companies with grants at the time, but we weren't doing much more than maybe 4 or 5 a year. There wasn't many, but there was only maybe 4 or 5 people in the organization, project
Right.
manager wise. So anyway, it was early stages, and things kind of grew from there. And the Workforce Training Fund, we didn't want that being a source of our major source of our income. We wanted to do projects for the value of the projects and the outcomes, and sell that. But it's hard to ignore the money that's available to companies. So we kind of drifted over to using grants as our kind of entree into companies. Used entree a lot.
You know what? That's no, that's great, Jim. I had no idea like the history about the express grants and like Jack's role in that and that kind of stuff as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, you've shared a lot about your background and what you do here at Mass MEP. What's the thing that you love the most about your job?
I have liked over the years, although not so much recently, the opportunity to be able to go into companies, see businesses that I never knew existed, industries that I, you know, are amazed that there's this little niche of business that can create an organization like it has. I can't give you an example right now, but but companies, just working with companies, the people that own and run companies, um, helping them make improvements in their organization, finding funding to be able to help them make improvements, um, developing relationships. I mean, that's what I like best. and working with our project managers to be able to create a successful implementation. Uh, how can it get any better than that?
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, so then, change the page here and tell me about what you like. What's your favorite thing to do when you're out of the office, when you're back on your own time?
Oh God,
Oh,
what do I do? I like golf, but I'm not a
that's true.
not a nut about it. But I like golf and golfing with my sons and my son-in-law, and I have a friend that I golf with weekly. So that's fun. Not any good, but it's fun. We don't take it too seriously. I like being with, a big part of my life is my family, and
Yeah,
I spend time with my kids and their kids and my brothers and sisters. And
yeah.
I'm one of 8 people, one of 8 kids, and we have, I believe it's 35 uh, or so children of those 8.
Wow.
Um, and uh, and my mother was one of 15. So uh,
How
we
many
still,
grand how many grandkids?
oh, for me right now, 6. Oh no,
Oh,
5. Nope, 6. He just
I
showed up.
was gonna well, I was like, "Oh, does that mean there's one on the way that we don't know about yet?"
Oh, he just showed up.
Yeah,
Um, his name is JJ, Julian James, and he just showed up a couple of weeks ago.
that's right, that's right. I forgot about that. All right. Well, hey, this has been great, but I'm wondering if we can close with you doing the silly little thing we do with all of these, which is asking people to tell us 2 things that are true and 1 that is made up about themselves, so we can guess at the made up one offline.
Yeah, I don't even know what. Okay, so um,
Can be anything, big things, little things, doesn't make any difference.
I'm an avid woodworker. I built my own house, so I guess that's one. I'm an avid woodworker.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, uh, I played multiple sports through uh, high school, um, and I was a sharpshooter in the military.
Those are excellent, Jim. Good job. Hey, thanks for taking some time to be with us here today. This has been a lot of fun.
Okay,
Take care.
bye bye.